certain times the hype that Joshua has and his talent, it don't always match up completely. But at the end of the day, the guy's got 3 world titles for a reason, innit?
But if you check his CV, it does match up. But you know what it is? I know guys are probably sick of hearing their girlfriends talking about him at home. So they don't.
Hello, it's your boy The Purist, and we're here with our special guest, British light heavyweight champion Craig Richards. Craig, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man.
Feel good to hear that, British light heavyweight champion.
Come on, I can get used to that.
I see you on your Instagram sleeping in that belt. Is that real? Is that real? Is that for the gram?
No, it's real. It's real. No capping.
Right,
I have to embrace all these moments. You know, every title, even when I won the WBA Continental, I was around with the belt for ages, posting it, etc. And then we've moved on. Now we got to the British. I got to post it, embrace it, you know, till we move on. You know, got to embrace every stage.
Yeah, I heard that before. But before we talk about the obvious stuff, we're gonna take it all the way back, yeah, to where was the area that you grew up in?
South London, like between lived in Lewisham Borough, but I grew up in Penge. So South London really. I was up and down, but more Penge and Lewisham Borough was I lived in.
So how was it growing up there?
It was good, you know. It was you know, South London at them times was do or die. It was the jungle, you know. So you just kind of had to adapt to what you had to deal with, you know. And yeah, it was what it was.
Yeah, it's like, did your family have a boxing background? Did you grow up watching boxing?
Oh yeah, I always grew up watching boxing. That's what we done. Me and my dad used to always watch boxing. My uncles, my cousins used to come round. We weren't really a football family. It was more just boxing, late night box office. Back then the cable boxes. And yeah, 3-4s in the morning, Tyson, Nassim, Eubanks, Ben era, all of them days, that was us.
What was your first time in the gym like?
It's good. I went when I was about 13. Just followed my cousin down the gym, boxed with him. And then we just like sparred a little bit. Then we moved to a different club and then got a bit more intense. And I liked it. Sparring and everything, I really enjoyed it and that. But back then, obviously, I was a bit distracted. So I was in and out of the gyms, really. And then it was only years later, I started competing and done 3 years in the amateurs, won a few things, and then got signed and turned pro. It was obviously harder coming through when you didn't know no one in the boxing game at all and you're just paving your own way. But I got there.
Oh, you said you was distracted. What was you distracted by?
You know, just things, the outside world, being a young boy, innit? Just, you know, just silly things, you know, distractions, just being out and about and whatnot, you know. United is in South London, so it's just hard to just be focused on something proper, really.
So, was there like a stage where you thought to yourself, right, I'm just doing the boxing stuff and I'm just going to focus on that?
Yeah, when I was 21, I remember it was 2012. I remember I walked past the TV. I was in some venue. I walked past the telly and I saw the Olympic boxing. And I was thinking, you know what? These guys are no different from me. I said, you know what the difference is? I've never dedicated myself to this boxing. So if I go back, then I'm just going to give myself 110% because I'm looking at these guys now thinking, what would have happened if I stayed at it when I was young and could that have been me? So I thought, if I go back to boxing now, I'm not trying to do the woulda, coulda, shouldas. I'm going to give 110% and see how far I could actually get. And that's what kind of drove me to think, anytime I stop at this point, that's me done. I ain't stopping until I know that's the end of it. That's as far as I could get. I tried my best and that's me. So, yeah.
You said you was competing the amateurs and you turned off as a pro and you got signed. Who'd you get signed to at the beginning?
Peter Sims. And he moved me on to, obviously, Matchroom boxing. So, originally, we didn't know where I was going to go. Then there was an opportunity straight away with Eddie Hearn to box on his show. Obviously, we took it with 2 hands. 3 weeks to go. I jumped on the show last minute, done 150 tickets, and stopped my opponent in 49 seconds. And Eddie liked what he saw, put me back on again. And then before you know it, he gave me a little acid test, knocked the guy out in 1 round. Then he put me on the Kelbrook Golovkin card, and then we went from there. Then I basically, a couple fights later, I became a Matchroom fighter full time.
Your first big step up, well, I think it was a British title against Buglioni, wasn't it?
No, my first big step up was against Alan Higgins. He was 12-0, 6 KOs. I was only 7
Okay.
fights in. I done 1 6 rounder.
Yeah. I was
That's when I won the Southern Area title.
okay. So I think that's the first fight where I knew you from was against the Buglioni one.
Yeah, that's the one where I was on the scene. It was a big show. Yeah, the general public obviously watched Anthony Joshua cards. I was on Anthony Joshua card box office. So it's the first time the general public saw me. Obviously, before that, I was on next gen shows or on big shows, but the untelevised part. So I was bobbing and weaving really between televised on the small shows or untelevised on the big shows. But that was the first time I was on the televised big show all in one go. So it's kind of like where people kind of got to know who I was.
I remember when I was at Gator Gym talking about the fight, and you said it was such a new. Obviously, you've been fighting for a long while, but such a big occasion, the big lights, and that stage was quite new to you. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, to be fair, like I wasn't overwhelmed. I had a good management team and that. So before I went out, I remember they took me out. Peter took me out, showed me the venue, the arena. I remember I was sitting in my change room, just lying on the floor, sitting on the floor, waiting for the time to go. And he's like, "Get up, let's go see the venue." And I was like, "Oh, for what?" Like, he's like, "Come on, you better go see the venue. Like, see what you're about to walk out to." I walked out. I looked at it. I was like, "Whoa, this is massive." You know, he made me have a feel of it all and that. So the time I walked out, I already knew what was around. So I tunnel vision. I just didn't look around, didn't look at the crowd, didn't let it overwhelm me, and just got into the ring and got straight down to business. Obviously, back then, I only had 5 days notice for that fight. I flew back in on the Sunday in Ireland in the night, 2 days training, and went and fought my first 12 rounder at the weight above. So it was a big ask, but I went in there, got stuck in, and obviously come up short.
What would you say was your biggest lesson from that night?
Do you know what? To be fair, although I should have took a lot of negatives, I took a lot of positives from it. I realized I could do a 12 rounder without a training camp, for one. Two, I realized I could compete at light heavyweight without even being a light heavyweight at the time, against one of the biggest punchers at the time. But at the same time, I knew there was things to win at that level. I needed to increase, improve. Personally, obviously, the size difference was crazy because I was still a super middleweight at the time. I knew I needed to grow into the weight better, and I knew what it took to win at that level, not just compete at that level at that point. So I took some stuff from there to learn in the gym, as well as I took some positives and learned about myself in there.
After that fight, I think the next big fight you had was the Jake Paul one, right?
Yeah.
I remember watching Jake Paul and Matchroom, just thinking, you know what, it's a matter of time before this guy gets. You know, I remember when they announced the fight with you, and I looked at the odds, and I was like, "These people are crazy, bro. You want me a lot of money that night, can't I?"
Oh, that's what I like to hear. I was a big underdog again that night, weren't I?
I don't know why, especially the amount of money I won on the knockout. Forget just winning. I knew you were gonna knock him out, innit? And I was like, why do you think you're so?
I told him I was gonna knock him out.
Yeah, you did still.
Say again?
So why do you think you were so underestimated in that fight?
I'm always underestimated, I think. I think because the way I look in sometimes, I know it is, when there's no fight, what means nothing to me. There's no title, just a 6 or 8 rounder. When it's just for a payday, I box like it's just for a payday. I don't turn up. I just go through the motions, get the win, and then go home. But it's every time there's a big title fight on the line is when I turn up. When there's something on the line, I get up for it. I'm very dangerous. But people have not seen the pattern. They keep thinking, he's going to probably box like he did in the 6 rounder. And then they get knocked out and they're like, rah, where'd that come from? I'm like, you see the pattern, you shouldn't be surprised. And even today, someone messaged under my Insta sign about, they said to me something like, oh, I'm surprised you knocked out that boy the other day. Didn't know he was a big puncher. You're not even a big puncher or something like that. And I'm like, have you been under a rock? I've knocked out 5 of my last 7 opponents, and 6 have all been on the canvas. So only one guy came out unscathed. Well, he didn't. Both his eyes were closed and his nose was broke, but he didn't get knocked out. So where did you get that from? So I don't know where people get their statistics from, why they put me as the underdog. I don't get it.
Your next fight after that was the Andre Sterling one, right?
That was Andre Sterling, yeah.
How did that fight come about?
he kept calling for the fight, to be honest. He kept calling for the fight, to be honest, I wasn't even interested in the fight. I believe it's because obviously I'm a Matchroom fighter on Sky Sports. These guys obviously think, well, if I can beat him, I can get on Matchroom or I can get on Sky Sports. So they're always calling for me. For me, I wanted to fight for the Commonwealth title at the time. It was vacant, and that's the route I wanted to go down. But then they went to the board, ordered the final eliminator with me and him. So I said, all right, you know what, let's go, innit? You're forcing the situation, let's go.
Yeah, that obviously is a famous saying, be careful what you wish for. And
100%. But to be honest, it's the same thing with Jake Bull. He called me out on Twitter.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get on for my title. Let's get on. You know, these guys got to be careful.
Yeah. Sterling, that was another big win for you as well. I'm not sure if it was the underdog or not, but you did definitely win me money on that one as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Jeez! It sounds like you're smart. You're a clever guy. You know where to bet. You're a smart guy.
Obviously, I talked to one betting tipster as well, innit? Yeah, so he was asking about all the boxing stuff, innit? It's like Craig Richards the other day is gonna win again. Even he's loving it off, and it's like, yeah, must keep winning money off this guy, innit?
Smart, yeah, you're smart.
You know, definitely. Sometimes it's like a lot of fighters get a lot of hype. You didn't get the hype, maybe, innit? But you've put in the work and you've shown what it takes in the ring, innit? So once I'm seeing what you're doing in the ring and 100%. Seeing what the odds are, it's not matching up. It's just simple maths, isn't it?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Knowing my CV, yeah? Beating a guy 14-0, 12-0, 10-0, 12-1, yeah? Name me a light heavyweight with a better CV.
From the UK?
Yeah.
Nah, that's tough to do still.
There ain't one. Name me someone who's achieved more than me. I'm the WBA Continental Champion and the British Champion. There's only two other guys in the weight who's achieved as much as me, but no one should achieve more than me.
Yeah, right, still. And you know what? You put it like that.
Only Johnson and Buatsi. Only Johnson and Buatsi has achieved as much as me, but no one's achieved more than me. And then no one's got a better CV than me. So tell me why I ain't getting my props.
No, that's what I was saying before. It's the hype, innit? The hype. It's literally just the hype.
The hype. People hear one person say, or a few people say, that guy's the guy. They don't even research why. They just jump on it. Yeah, that's the guy. No one wonders why, how comes, what made you come to these numbers. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. But you check the statistics, check the facts, check what I've achieved, check who I've beat. There's no one who's doing that in the light heavyweights. But I don't get the credit.
Yeah, right. Still, I was gonna ask as well. You see your recent fight? It was on Channel 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not with Eddie Hearn anymore.
Yeah, I'm still with Eddie Hearn, but they won the purse bids for the fight. Channel 5.
Oh, okay.
See, now that's why they were saying, oh, he ain't gonna take the fight. Why would he come off his shows? Come Channel 5, come Birmingham. He's got world rankings. He's not gonna risk it. He's 6'6", awkward. He ain't gonna risk it all and do that. I said, you don't know me very well.
You know what? It works out for the best because Channel 5, obviously, it's a national TV channel, isn't it? So you probably get more eyes on you. So you could then go back to Matchroom and Sky Sports and with the British title around your waist as well.
There you go. So now I've stole fans from there, ended their whole thing because Channel 5, he's the poster boy. Yeah. Who else has got a title in Channel 5 who they're trying to put on every advert? It's just him. Like, I know that probably Chamberlain's the next one coming through, but he's the poster boy currently, and I've come and ripped up the whole script. Where do they go from here?
That's a good question. I was enjoying them Channel 5 boxing ads as well, but you just ruined it all, innit?
Free to air, but I just come and ripped up the whole script. They should have just left me over in Matchroom, boy. They should have left me. Leave me alone. Stop prodding me.
Yeah, and even for the build-up for that Pitters fight, he was talking a lot. He was talking mad.
He was talking mad.
He seemed like he got under your skin a little bit.
No, at first he did. Do you know why? Because I knew the stuff he was trying to do was trying to get me out of the fight. So basically, he was trying to make excuses, pretending that I'm trying to get out the fight. The public's believing it. So behind the scenes, they were trying to skip me out of the mandatory position. See, now, if they got to do that, the fans would have believed it was me ducking the fight. So I would have lost my shot, and they would have believed that I deliberately didn't have my shot. So it was frustrating because I knew what they was trying to do. Once I was settled and I knew I got my shot, that's when I wasn't bothered. That's why if you notice, like, when I first done interviews with him, I was frustrated. Then you see the back end of the interviews, you see how I'm relaxed, I'm laughing about it, because I know now I'm getting him in the ring. So once I know I'm getting you in the ring, I'm cool. I know I'm good from that point. It's just getting you in the ring. So once it was signed, confirmed, and I had my date, I was happy.
Yeah, that makes sense too. And when you went in the ring, I think you pretty much dominated the whole fight. What was your game plan going into that one? Because he's an awkward fighter, isn't it? So what was your game plan going into it?
I knew that they would look at me, and obviously all my knockouts were usually within 3 rounds. I knew they was probably going to think he's going to come for it, he's going to charge for the knockout. Just be smart, Shaq, don't get involved. Later on, keep picking him. And I knew what his game plan was. So I thought, you know what? This is the time to show people a bit of boxing, bit of education, bit of boxing. So I showed that. Then I thought, let me show them a bit of educated pressure, because a lot of UK fighters can't do that. So I wanted to show that. And then I wanted to get the knockout. So I did tip myself to knock him out anything from 8 to 12, which I got in the 9th. So everything went to plan, really. I wanted to show something different, a late knockout, a bit of boxing, and some pressure. Because I know, because he's 6'6", everyone's saying, you can't outbox him, you're just going to have to just put your hands up, get on his chest and go to work. No, forget that. When I watched Mayweather box Corrales, did he put his hands up and just get on his chest and go to work? No. When you see Crawford boxing Benavidez or Postal, did he put his hands up and go to work? No, they box. A good boxer can box any height, and that's what I wanted to show. I wanted to show all the other 14 maybe just didn't have the IQ to do what I was doing. So I wanted to show I can outbox the tall man, and I got to show that. And then I wanted to show I knock it out as well, and I did that. And that's what I wanted to show, my knockout. I want to show my power. I don't know why people still think, is this a fluke? How many times do I have to knock someone out of light heavyweight to them to understand I've got the power, the punch power is there?
I think it's like you were saying before. It's like the reason I'm so high on you is because I remember watching the Buglioni fight. Like I even said, you didn't have enough time for it, and it wasn't the best of you in that ring that night. But it's like I remember you saying it, but I didn't believe you. But then I saw you sparring once at Miguel's gym, yeah. And just the certain little moves you're doing and certain things, I was thinking, either this guy has improved so much since that fight, or or maybe he's got a point. I think it's a bit of both, isn't it? So it's like,
yeah,
if you're in camp or you've seen what you can do, obviously you understand. But I think sometimes you don't, like you said, if it's a lesser opponent, you're not really going to turn up for it, and you're not going to show what you can do. So I think it's sort of slipped into people's mind where they're thinking, I've never seen that before. You know what I mean, innit? They don't know you're that good. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And I think, but thanks for that. But you know, I believe it's like exactly what you said. In my gym, people see me spar, they see me work. So like my team know how good I am. But as I keep saying to what I'm saying to you about I don't understand people's thinking is what they used to always say to me. But what I used to always say to them was that they're not seeing what I'm doing in the gym. They're not seeing how good I can be. They're just seeing what I've gone out and displayed, which I'm never displaying the best of myself so far. So what I promised myself in lockdown is my next fight, I'm going to show a bit of myself. And it happened, unfortunately, for Pitters, it was him. I wanted to start showing that I can box, I can fight. I have got some skills. Like, this is me. I wanted to display a bit of myself, what I do in the gym. So, and I just thought I'm going to stop having flat performances from now, because you're judged on every performance. Although for you, you're just ticking the register, getting a payday and going home on them 6 and 8 rounders. They're judging you on that. When people start having their opinion on you, so then you can't be better in the end when people are saying that, oh yeah, they're not putting you in the top list of being the best light heavyweights and stuff, because that's what you've displayed.
Yeah, exactly. And do you have any idea like what your next fight's gonna be? You got any names you wanna fight?
No, I don't know any when my next fight's going to be. I'm open to anyone ahead of me, really. I think I've been here for a while now domestically. The only reason why Pitters for me was important is because as I just name my CV off to you, I've beat all them domestic guys and not been crowned the best domestic in Britain yet. So I felt like the only way you can do that is winning the British title, which now I've done. I feel like I've achieved that. Obviously, if there's a big opportunity, what comes up domestically, I'm always happy to take it. But for me, I just want to like further my career and just start taking steps moving forward now.
We've seen recently at heavyweight we had the British and Commonwealth unification. That was Dubois versus Joyce. Recently had a big fight for the Commonwealth title, Lyndon Arthur versus Anthony Yards. They're gonna have a rematch. Obviously, you're with Eddie Hearn, they're with Frank Warren. Do you reckon there'll be any way of getting that fight to happen?
I think the fight would have been hard to make, and I believe if they're going to have the rematch next, then obviously the fight ain't going to happen. If it was a thing of that, because I heard them having interviews saying that they'd rather have a couple fights first and then give Yard a rematch and stuff like that. If that was going to happen, then it would be it would probably be the next fight to make between me and him. Unification. I've got the WBA Continental and the British. He's got the Commonwealth and the WBO Continental. So it would be the ideal fight, I think, for us to make for both of our careers and maybe for the public as well. So generally speaking, I can see why everyone would point that fight in the right direction. But I think if he's got other businesses to take care of, I'm not really going to probably sit around and wait for all of that, to be honest. I'll probably keep moving forward. Because like I've sometimes stalemated my career a little bit, like when I waited for Jake for about 3 days. Yeah, I think I've got enough options to keep moving forward at this point.
Before we used to see a lot of fighters try to win the British title outright, but nowadays it seems like Callum Johnson won it, pretty much gave up straight away. Buatsi won it, pretty much gave up straight away. Do you have any desire to win it outright, defend it 3 times?
I don't. If it's there, I will do it, but I don't really have any desire. Like I really, really like. It's not like my long haul dream to win the British outright. If I end up having a voluntary and then someone end up being my mandatory on my back and I end up beating 2, then I probably would just, out of principle, just take 1 more just to win it outright. But if the opportunity comes to move forward and bigger fights, then I'd probably take that.
So for you yourself, yeah, if you had the ideal world and you could just pick one opponent and then it's signed for, let's say, July, who would it be?
Maybe one of the world champions.
Yeah, which one though? Because Batavia looks scary, so I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Apart from that one, no, I'm going for Bivol or Joe Smith or Pascal. Any of them 3.
Yeah, give it a good chance as well. Bivol is a smaller guy as well, isn't it? I think he says he could make 168.
He's small, so he's been optional. I reckon there's a chance for me to get him out of there. Joe Smith Jr., he just like myself come through. He's boxed at a good level, but he's like not like whoa, like elite, mad elite. And then John Pascal, you know, he's at the back end, but he's still strong, quite dangerous still, but he's a winnable fight. So them 3 for me are winnable fights for me.
Was talking before, you go down to Miguel's and a lot of other gyms. Which talented prospects that you've seen that the general public probably haven't seen would you say are out there?
Coming through now?
Yeah.
Amateur or pro?
People, at least someone turning over, but mostly the pro ranks.
Obviously, a lot of the boys like Kieran down Miguel's is good. Jimmy Sains at Matchroom, he comes down. Jimmy Sains, he's a very good talent. Early boys like Louis Lin and that, I believe he's a talent that gets overlooked a lot. Very dangerous prospect. I'm surprised he doesn't get more noise. Yeah, that's the ones coming through so far. See, like, yeah.
Who's your top 5 favorite boxers to watch?
Past or present?
Present.
Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Canelo. Terence Crawford, Canelo, Errol Spence, Gervonta Davis, and who's my 5th? That's my 4. I'll hold out. I like watching AJ, of course, as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had to be a heavyweight somewhere.
Yeah, AJ as well.
Wait, so who taking AJ or Fury?
AJ.
Yeah.
AJ. I believe that AJ. The reason why I say that is because AJ. I think Fury's problem, like why? Oops. Fury's problem, yeah, is like when he had trouble with guys like Otte Wallin, yeah. I believe he had trouble with these guys because although they're less caliber of fighters, they was punching in bunches. Where and Fury, you can't throw one punch at Fury, he'll dodge it all day long. But if you notice, the two times Deontay Wilder dropped Fury in the first fight was when he put more than two punches together, a 3-punch combination. And the 2 times he done that is the 2 times he dropped Fury. Now, who's the biggest combination puncher in heavyweight?
Joshua, innit?
There you go. So his weakness is his strengths.
Listen, you need to come to the gym, chat to Mick, innit? Because Mick, every time I tell him Joshua's going to cause Fury problems, just starts cussing, innit? About Mick, every time I tell him Joshua's going to give Fury problems, he just gets heated, innit? You need to come down to the gym, have a chat with him.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? People hate the fact of hearing it. I think people just don't like Joshua, though.
Yeah, 100%. There's I think certain times the hype that Joshua has and his talent, it don't always match up completely. But at the end of the day, the guy's got 3 world titles for a reason, innit?
But if you check his CV, it does match up. But you know what it is? I know guys are probably sick of hearing their girlfriends talking about him at home. So they don't want it. No one wants it to match up.
Yeah, I heard that. You got any messages you want to give the fans?
Just thank you for keep supporting me, and I'll be putting on good shows for you guys. And I appreciate everyone who gets behind me, and including my sponsors as well.
Thank you very much for your time, Craig. Yeah.